What if your biggest competitor was unknowingly handing you their entire client list? And what if that list was just sitting there on a public government website waiting for you to come and get it? It's exactly what happened to us. In this video, I'm going to lay out the exact step-by-step strategy we used to turn publicly available data into a lead generation machine that brought in over $460,000 a month in new business. We went from flying blind to having a crystal clear map of our entire market, and I'm about to give you that map. Let's rewind to early 2024. Our company was doing okay. We were an established player in the corporate benefits market, but the ground beneath our feet was starting to shake. Every day, it felt like a new competitor popped up out of nowhere. These new companies were fast, aggressive, and they were eating into our market share. We could feel it, but we couldn't prove it. Our biggest problem? We were completely reactive. We relied on partners to bring us leads, which meant we had zero control over our own pipeline. Our view of the market was blurry at best. We were guessing. We had vague ideas about where we were strong and where we were weak, but it was all based on assumptions, not facts. We desperately needed real numbers, hard data to show us where we were losing and, more importantly, where we could fight back. We were in a knife fight, blindfolded. We knew we had to do something drastic or we'd slowly bleed out and become irrelevant. This desperation sent us on a hunt, an obsessive search for any edge we could find. We started digging into government websites thinking maybe, just maybe, there was some forgotten report or dataset we could use. And that's when we found it. A gold mine hidden in plain sight on the Department of Labor's website. At first, we found a simple file. It was a list of all 470,000 companies in the country that were part of the Workers' Food Program, a government initiative that gives companies huge tax breaks for offering their employees food benefits, like meal vouchers. This was interesting, for sure. It was a massive list of potential customers, but it was still just a list of names. The real magic came when we found the second part of the puzzle. It was a search tool on the same website, a simple little query box where you could type in a company's registration number and it would generate a detailed PDF report. And this report contained everything. I mean everything. The company's name, their address, their contact info, the number of employees they had, and the single most important piece of information we could ever ask for, the name of their current benefits provider. In other words, our competitor. A light bulb didn't just go on. It was like a lightning strike inside our office. What if we could connect these two things? What if we took that massive list of 470,000 company numbers and fed it into the search tool one by one? We could literally map our entire industry. We could see which competitors served every single company. We wouldn't just be finding leads, we'd be building a complete competitive intelligence database from scratch. Now, we had a data science team, so we weren't afraid of programming. But we weren't experts in web automation, and this government portal wasn't going to make it easy. It had logins, passwords, and a session timeout that would kick you out if you were idle for too long. We couldn't just download the data. We had to build a robot that could act like a human logging in, typing in numbers, clicking download, and doing it hundreds of thousands of times. That's when we discovered Selenium, the tool that would become the key to unlocking this entire strategy. Let me break down exactly why this data was so powerful. We had two puzzle pieces. One, the master list, a file with about 470,000 company numbers. This was our entire universe of potential clients. Two, the Intel generator, the online tool that could spit out a detailed PDF for any of those company numbers. By combining them, we weren't getting cold leads. We were getting red-hot, pre-qualified opportunities. For every single company, we knew GI, their name and contact information, how many employees they had, which told us how big the potential contract was, GI, and the kill shot, the name of the competitor we had to beat. This completely changed the game. Imagine going from cold calling a random list of businesses to calling a company and knowing exactly what they need, how much the deal is worth, and who you're competing against. Our sales approach could now be surgical. We knew who to call, how big the prize was, and exactly what to say to win them over. The idea was brilliant. The execution, however, was a whole different story. It was a journey of excitement, despair, and a whole lot of trial and error. In the first few days, we threw together a quick and dirty script using Selenium. It was simple, it could log into the portal, take one company number from our list, plug it into the search box, and download the PDF report. We ran it, held our breath, and it worked. A beautiful little PDF appeared on our screen. The proof of concept was a success. The excitement in the room was electric. We felt like we had just cracked the code. That excitement lasted about a week. Once the initial high wore off, we did the math. We timed the process from start to finish. Our little script took about 1 minute to process a single company. 1 minute. Now, multiply that by 470,000 companies. The answer was a punch to the gut, 326 days. It would take us almost a year of running this script 24/7 to get through the whole list. The project that felt so revolutionary just a few days ago now seemed completely impossible. A year was too long. The market would have changed by then. The data would be old. The team's morale plummeted. We were so close to just giving up, throwing the whole idea in the trash. It was a classic moment of, it's too good to be true. Just as we were about to pull the plug, we took a step back. The potential was just too massive to ignore. We went to our company's leadership and laid it all out, the incredible opportunity and the massive technical hurdle. We showed them the PDF, the golden ticket, and to their credit, they didn't flinch. They gave us their full, unconditional support. They gave us the resources and, more importantly, the time to figure it out. That support was the lifeline we needed. It allowed us to stop, take a breath, and rethink our entire approach. Running one robot for 326 days was stupid, but what if we could run thousands of robots all at the same time? That's when we turned to the cloud. We decided to redesign our entire architecture using serverless technology, specifically AWS Lambda and SQS. Now, for anyone who isn't a tech nerd, here's what that means in simple terms. Instead of having one computer do all the work, we could chop up our massive 470,000 company list into thousands of tiny little lists. Each tiny list would be sent to a serverless function in the cloud, a temporary, microscopic robot that would spin up, do its job of scraping a few dozen PDFs, and then disappear. Instead of one machine running for a year, we could have thousands of these robots working in parallel. The 326-day project could now, in theory, be done in just a few weeks or even days. Of course, it wasn't that easy. We had to build a system to handle errors. What if the government website crashed? What if our robot got blocked? We stress tested our system, and yes, we crashed their portal a couple of times. We even got one of our login credentials blocked. But through trial and error, we found the perfect rhythm. We created a pool of different login credentials to rotate through. We limited each robot to 100 queries before it logged out, and a new one took its place. We ran a maximum of 10 sessions at the same time to avoid overwhelming their servers. We even made our robots pretend to be different people by randomizing their user agent, making it look like the traffic was coming from Chrome, Firefox, Safari, and all sorts of different devices. We used proxy services to rotate our IP address, making it harder to trace the activity back to us. After about 1 month of intense development, our scraping engine was ready. In the second month, we unleashed it. And in just a few weeks of parallel processing, we had it, a rich, beautiful database filled with all 470,000 companies and their secrets. The final step was to plug this data into a business intelligence tool, Power BI, so we could finally see what we had uncovered. The first thing we built wasn't a sales list. It was a map. For the very first time, we could see our entire market laid out in front of us. We created a dashboard in Power BI that showed state by state, city by city, where every single one of our competitors was operating. We could see their strongholds, their weak spots, and the territories that were wide open for the taking. It was the single most clarifying moment in our company's history. The blindfold was off. We sat down with the sales team, and their jaws were on the floor. Before, we gave them vague instructions like, hey, maybe try calling some companies in this region. Now, we could say, Here is a list of 50 companies in the city. They are all currently with competitor X. Their contracts are this big. Go get them. We had exchanged a generic hand-drawn treasure map for a satellite image with a giant red X marking the spot. Our entire strategy shifted overnight from quantity to precision. With this new power, we launched a two-pronged attack that, over the course of 3 months, completely transformed our revenue. First, we took the cream of the crop. We identified the top 1,000 most strategic leads from our new database. These were large companies located in regions where we wanted to grow, often served by competitors we knew we could beat. We handed this list over to our best salespeople. The approach was hyper-personalized. Our team could walk into a meeting with an insane amount of confidence. The results were staggering. From that list of 1,000 leads, we closed 67 new clients. This brought in $320,000 in new recurring revenue every single month. That's a conversion rate of 6.7%, which is unheard of in our industry for high-value B2B sales. At the same time, we took a much larger list of about 20,000 smaller leads and gave it to our call center team. Here, the approach was less personalized, more about volume. But even with the simpler pitch, the quality of the data was so high that the results were still incredible. From that list, the call center closed another 39 sales, adding another 154,000 to our monthly revenue. All told, our web scraping project was generating over 460,000 a month in new, predictable, data-driven revenue. It wasn't an overnight explosion. It was accelerated, sustained growth week after week, all fueled by data we pulled from a public website that our competitors either didn't know about or didn't know how to use. Now, it wasn't perfect. Public data can be messy. We found that about 5,000 of the leads had outdated contact information, which is a challenge you just have to accept. But even with that small loss, the return on investment was astronomical. Looking back, this whole project wasn't just about the money. It completely changed how we think about business, and it taught us a few massive lessons that anyone can apply. 1. Your biggest untapped resource is probably public data. Seriously. Government websites, public records, official portals, they are filled with incredibly valuable information that most of your competitors are too lazy or too blind to look for. 2. Your first plan will probably fail, and that's okay. Our initial script would have taken almost a year to run. It was a dead end. The real breakthrough didn't come from optimizing the old idea, it came from throwing it out and building a completely new, scalable solution in the cloud. Don't be afraid to tear everything down and start over when scale becomes a problem. 3. Data is useless without a strategy. Getting the 470,000 PDFs was just the start. The magic happened when we visualized it, identified our competitors' weak spots, and gave our sales team a precise battle plan. Don't just collect data, figure out how to turn it into action. 4. Top-down support is a project's lifeline. This project would have died the moment we did that 326-day calculation. The only reason it survived was because our leadership saw the potential and gave us the time and resources to solve the problem. If you're tackling something big and innovative, make sure the people at the top have your back. We went from being the ones getting punched to being the ones who knew exactly where to aim. All because we dared to look where no one else was looking and had the guts to build the tool to get it. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story and want to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video.